The third thing that I'm going to talk about today, creating urgency, is the alternative choice. Now, this has been around forever. If you've been in sales, you're probably familiar, but I'm always surprised how many people, even sales professionals who've been in the game for years, will ask people to buy something as a yes or a no question. There's no alternative choice. It's not between something and something else. So always make sure that the customer has to choose between something and something else, not between something and nothing. You're always giving them two options, not one option, because that's not an option. That's a yes or a no. Not many options, because people get overwhelmed if they feel like there's a bunch of choices. Now, there are occasions where it makes sense to have three and have them funnel them to the one in the middle. We'll talk about that another time. But in general, you don't want to have too many choices. Even if there really are 7 choices or 12 choices or whatever, I would narrow that down in a process of elimination, so that when I get to the point of the close, I'm actually recommending 2 options, giving them, this one or this one. And it's not it's not just that having 2 options itself creates urgency. It's just that having too many options will undermine the urgency. And a choice between something or nothing feels more like pressure. So if I'm asking you if you'd rather get started today or tomorrow, that's going to feel less pressure than just asking you, do you want to get started or not? And not that you would necessarily say it that way, but it's, again, listening to salespeople and coaching salespeople for decades now, I have heard people continue to just ask the question, so do you want to go ahead and get started? And it's a common error, but anytime you can add another choice in there and ask them this or this, do you want to go with option A or option B? Do you want to get started with this one, or would you prefer this one? You're always going to have a better result and create more urgency when you're choosing between 2 things than choosing a bunch or one thing or nothing. So, and this can be used to justify a special offer if you contrast a realistic alternative without urgency. So if I say, here's what the offer is if you get started today, it's maybe a discount, let's say it's 10% off. Would you rather go ahead and get started and get that 10% discount, or would you rather take a look at getting involved tomorrow at the regular price? Either way, I'm making it sound like it's a realistic option. Neither one's bad. It's just, which one do you prefer? So either one, alternate choice. And then the fourth thing that's going to help create urgency is that the scarcity. Now, scarcity is tricky, right? Because natural scarcity is always going to be the best way to create urgency, but natural scarcity isn't always easy to come by. If you're selling something that everybody knows they can do it anytime they want, there's an unlimited supply, there's no reason to think that if they don't act now, it's going to be gone, you could have a problem on your hands. But if you can create some sense of urgency with scarcity, and in a way that feels like natural scarcity, you're going to have a lot more success with it. So we'll get more in depth into that particular one, probably in our next segment. But for now, take advantage of those 4 ways to create urgency.